everybody. Today we'll do some patterns. First let's start with some stars. Now if we were going to put 5 stars in a row, we'll just say, first of all we have our for loop variable there, k, then we have a string. Because we're going to build a string, we set our string to an empty string. And then let's say 5 stars in a row, so for k equals 1 to 5, do s line equals s line plus a star. So what do you think we will see when we display that in our rich edit called red pattern? So here you must see we're actually building our string with 5 stars using a for loop, and then we add that to the rich edit only afterwards. So that for loop is only doing one thing, and only after the for loop is finished 5 times, then it's displaying in the rich edit. So let's see what that looks like. And there are errors. Okay, it's because it's my previous code. I deleted that. I didn't delete it properly, did I? No. Sorry about that. So what I did is a bit of a misprint there, hey? While I'm about, let's delete that as well. Right. And there we go. Click the button. So there's 5 stars in the line. What if you want it to be 1 star, then 2 stars, then 3, then 4, then 5, like to make a little right angle triangle? Well, then we have to put a begin and end here, because each time we add a star, we are going to display it in the rich edit. See what I did there? So in the for loop we get the first star, then display it, and then another star is added, then we display it, and then another star. Let's see if that gives us what we want, our little triangle of stars, and there it is. What if you want to reverse those stars, to start off from 5 down to 1? Well, that's a little bit trickier, because we're not going to start off with 5. We're going to build 5, then we'll build 4 stars, then we'll build 3 stars, then we'll build 2 stars, then we'll build 1. So it's going to be 5 times that we're going to do that. So 5 times we're going to build the first of our loop, we're going to build 5 stars, then we're going to build 4 stars, then we build 3, then we build 2 and display it, then we build 1 and display it. So no, we're not going to start with 5 stars at all. We are going to rather have what we call nested for loops. So I'm going to move this S line, set it to an empty string over here, then I must get another for loop counter, let's call it M, and over here I'm going to say for M equals what to what. Well, we want to start off with 5, don't we? So 5 down to 1, but what? Not down to 1. It's going to be 5 down to whatever k is. Let's see. Well, if we do 5 down to 1, let's see what happens if we do that. And then we're going to build our pattern and display it in begin and end. So we just basically got that display happening for 5 down to 1. But this is going to happen 5 times. 5 times we're going to get an empty string, then for 5 down to 1 we're going to build stars and display that line each time we build them. Let's see what that looks like. Clicking the button. Can you see what happened there? 5 times I've now displayed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars, five triangles of stars. So that actually didn't give us our five stars in a line, did it? No. So I'm going to try something else. If I go 5 down to K over here, instead of 1, I'll put a K there. So what's going to happen? The first line is going to be 5 to 1. We'll build that string and we'll display it. Okay. So that's going to build a string of 5 stars. Then the second one's going to go 5 to 2, 4. No, to 2, 5, 4, 3, 2. That'll be 4 stars. So 5, if K is 2, then we'll have 4 stars in a line. If K is 3, when K is 3, can you see K is going to go to 3 next? Then we'll have 3 stars and display it. Then K is 4, 5 to 4, we'll have 2 stars in S line and display it. Then 5 to 5, we'll only have 1 star. If you go from 5 to 5, 5 down to 5, it's going to be 1 run of the loop. Let's see what happens when I run this code. Right. So that looks a little bit messy, doesn't it? Well, that is because I've put my already patterns of lines.add on displaying inside this for loop instead of displaying inside the outside for loop. So let's go and change that. That's what happens. This is what it looks like when we did this. And my hunch is that already pattern.lines.add needs to be in between these two ends here. So let's go and put it there and see what happens next. First I must close the program. So I'm going to move my display right over here. So let's see if that makes any difference at all. So what are we doing? Let's go and try and think through this code. K is going to be 1, alright? That's going to be my first line, my first row of stars. Set S line to an empty string, and then we build from 5 to 1, we're building 5 stars, and then we're displaying afterwards. Okay. Then K is going to be 2, so empty string for K down to 2, 5, 4, 3, 2. That means 4 stars are going to be in a line, and after that, only after that is built, then we'll display it over here. So let's see what happens, because I've just moved my display line, this already pattern.line.add, displaying at S line, and moved it outside this middle for loop. And it's going to display before the outside loop, K for loop, goes to the next number there. And there it is. That's what we were looking for, isn't it? So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and that's exactly what we wanted. So we know how to get to 1, to get the stars going from 1 to 5. We know how to do that just let's go just write that code again to go from 1 to 5 to 5 do line equals S line plus a star, and then already pattern.lines.add. Okay, of course, got to say S line equals an empty string. Let's run this code. So we click on stars, let's click on more stars, and that's just putting 5 in a row. Remember, just 5 in a row. That's this code over here. But what if you wanted to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Alright, so then we do the following. We display it each time. Instead of displaying it outside the for loop, we display it inside the for loop. There you go. Now let's go and see. First we had that difficult one, then we have this one. So there we have the stars going like that. Okay. Right, what about numbers? Let's say we want to display numbers from 1 to 5 in a pattern of a triangle. So let's do that one. Well, we know we're going to have 5 numbers, so okay, fine. First of all, we will do a S line. Set our S line into an empty string, and for k equals 1 to 5. Now, what if we want to display the 1s and the 2s and 3s and 4s and 5s? Let's see what happens if I do this. I'm going to add k to the end of S line, so into string k, and let's display it and see what happens. So instead of stars, we're going to use this k variable. Instead of a star being added to the end of S line, we'll use the k variable. Let's see what happens when you do that. There we go, we got 1, then 1, 2, then 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, so that works. But what if you want all 1, and then 2s, all 2s, then all 3s, then all 4s, and all 5s? Let's see what happens when you do that. What if I take this richedit.lines.add statement out of here, put it over there, and let's go and make another loop. In other words, let's go and put this one over here, and then we'll have an inside loop here for m equals 1 to k so I'm going to do that. So I'm just playing around with numbers here and see what happens. What do we get as display? So for 1 to 5, set an empty string, and k is going to be 1 to 1. So the 1s are going to be there. K is going to be 2, then k is going to be 3, then k is going to be 4. And I think that's going to work, because outside here, but this richedit.lines.add statement is in the wrong place. I'll prove it to you now, see how it runs. Okay, that's the more stars. Oh, stars and numbers. See, it only took the last 5. I've got my, if I run it again, I'll show you. You see, it all depends where you put your display. At the moment, it's right outside all the loops. Because remember, this for loop is only doing one thing. The outside for loop is this begin and end there. This richedit.lines.add needs to be part of the outside for loop. There. So that for loop is only doing one thing, so I don't have begin and end around S line there. What happens when I move my rich edit? So there we go, there's the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now what if we wanted to add some stars on the end of that and, you know, display stars after that? Well, I'm going to use my code down here. Let's copy and paste that. Let's see what we're going to get. So we're going to build some stars in reverse order, and let's go and run that code, and stars and numbers, and there we have it. That looks pretty, doesn't it? What if we wanted to just be 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and not a repetition of that? So we'll go back to what we did before, which was making this middle one. Okay, that was right, that was right. How did we get it from 1 and then 1 2 3 4 5, then 1, then 1 2, then 1 2 3 4, then 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, let's go and change it back, because at the moment we've got the numbers repeating like that. We want it to be 1 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, now how did I do that? So we did have to have 1, okay, enter string 1, fine. And let's put in a begin and end here. See what happens when I put a begin and end here around these two. And that's not giving us what we want at all, hey? Okay, let's try it again. So we had k equals 1. In fact, let's get rid of the nested for loop. Do that, and we display it like that. Alright, let's get rid of that end there. So for m equals 1 to 5, okay, I'm using m now, but it doesn't matter. For m equals 1 to 5, so we have our single line. For m equals 1, we initialize our s line, and m is going to go from 1 to 5, and then we build a string and we display it. Then we build another string and we display it. Now each time we build a string, we display the new string on a new line. So let's see what happens with that. And that's what we were looking for. So that is easier than doing the 1s and then 2 2s and 3 3 3s and 4 4 4s and then 5 5 5 5. So that is your stars and numbers. Okay.